Richard Skipper celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
Happy Wednesday, everyone, and welcome to the latest edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. For those of you who are here for the first time, my show is about celebrating artists and their body of worth. I thank you for being here. If you like tonight's show, please consider subscribing to my YouTube channel. That's probably where you're watching this right now. And if you're listening later on your Apple podcast, leave a comment, give us a rating, whatever you can do to spread the word. Now, if you'll all listen very quietly, you may hear something. It's the rumblings of the world of theater coming back. It's going to come back. It's going to be bigger and brighter and better than ever. I think of this time as a pause, a time for us to look back on what we had, what we have, what we desire in our lives, and what we don't desire in our lives. But one thing that we all desire in our lives is the theater. And I am so excited about tonight's artist. Now, some of you may know her from It Ain't Nothing But the Blues, but there's a lot more to Carter Calvert. And tonight, my goal and my hope is that you all get a chance to know more about her body of worth. What makes a great artist? How do they get from point A to point B and beyond? Well, I'm very excited to announce that this Friday night, thanks to my dear friends Stuart Allen and Carol Demas, they are going to be presenting Carter Calvert. But before then, I'm going to give you a preview of the show, and then we're going to talk a little bit about what the show is all about, what she's all about, and how she's been coping during this incredible time that we're in. Here she is.
Tell me not to live, just sit and pout. Life's candy and the sun's a ball of butter. Don't bring around a cloud to rain on my parade. How much am I? How bad? I'll be my drum. Chicks were born to give you fever. Be it Fahrenheit or centigrade, they give you fever. I wonder what in the world did I do? Oh, crazy. Well, I've tried and I've tried to keep him satisfied, but he just wouldn't stay. So I walk on the stage, and the spotlight hits me, and a kid yells out, "Look, Mama, Beaver!" Memory, all alone in the moonlight, I can smile at the old days. I was beautiful then. What's new? Wait a Titus, I'm new. I wanna say I'm just a little stuck on you. You'll be on me too. Don't cry for me, Argentina. The truth is I never left you. Don't send me no doctor, fill me up with all of those pills. Got me a man named Dr. Feelgood. Yeah, that man takes care of all of my pains and my ills. I go out walking after midnight, out in the stars.
And here she is, Carter.
Yay! I'm so happy to be
I
here.
am so glad you're here. I have to tell you, every day I actually go to this site called Check-A-Day. And every day is a national holiday. And I just laughed out loud watching this again, because this morning, one of the holidays for today is it's National Beaver Day. So if this kid thought that he saw a beaver on the stage, it's appropriate that you're here tonight.
I'm sure I've been called worse than that. So it's all good.
Well, first of all, to start out where we are in the world right now, today is 390 days since our theaters shut down. Yeah. And as I said, they're trying to bring them back. They're working diligently. But I want to ask you before we start, how are you doing really in the midst of this crazy world we're in right now?
I love that question. I have to say that I'm a homebody. So, I've been doing okay, like being home with my amazing husband, Roger Cohen, and my daughter, Ella, and our rescue beagle, Miles, and our latest addition, Shepherd, Crazy, Bessie, May Mucho. Where I just feel lucky. I don't know. I mean, that's not to say I don't have bad days or days that I feel depressed. I mean, in like 2 days, we lost all of our income for a whole year. When the shutdown happened, we were just like, every email was like, oh, that got canceled. And that was really
ka-ching.
Yeah, it was like
the opposite of ka-ching.
A chinka. I don't know. It was just like, it was going away. And but I don't know. It's this whole thing has just kind of made me realize I don't need as much. If as long as I have yoga pants, but no place to wear them, I'm fine. And having my family, I just feel incredibly lucky. But I've got all my vaccines. Like, I'm ready to get out there. I'm ready for this to be over.
Now, did you get the Pfizer or the Moderna?
I got the Moderna. How did you get it yet? Or
I got the first Pfizer, and I get my second one on Friday.
Okay, well, I do have to just tell you that the second vaccine of Moderna, it kind of knocked me and my husband out a little bit.
I've heard that. That's what makes me nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's just, to me, it's like, first of all, I could watch shows all day. I could watch Netflix all day long. I have no guilt or anything about that. My husband does. So to hear him upstairs, all snuggled up in our bed, like watching Netflix shows, just made my heart so happy, And then you're fine the next day, It's just kind of. But not everyone feels that way. A lot of my friends are just like, "Oh, well, no, we're fine. Nothing happened." So, what about you? Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, how are you dealing with this? Like,
well, thank you for asking. Well, this is what I'm doing now. I started doing these last March, and we've done over 200. We are close to, I've surpassed 850 subscribers on YouTube. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, everyone, it puts us in a whole different category as far as the way they look at us.
Yeah.
It's not about me. This is about you.
Well, it's just about everybody working together. And what I love about what you're doing, Richard Skipper, is I think it is so, I'm in awe of people that create their own magic. Somebody that looks at an opportunity, everybody else goes, oh, we're done. Stick your head in the sand. You elevated that and created this whole new platform for yourself. And I just fell in love with you. I saw your whole, you and, oh gosh, you were celebrating Carol Demas' birthday.
Oh, yeah. That was last May. Can you believe it?
Well, just Carol Demas, the original Sandy and Grace, and Stuart Allen, who are hosting our show, just to kind of, I guess, bring it all back, are really just amazingly wonderful friends of ours.
Well, I have to tell you that they introduced me to you because I went to one of their live concerts in their gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous garden home.
Yes.
And they said, do you know Carter Calvert? Now, this is a couple of years ago. Okay. And I don't know if you remember this. You were either on the road or you were not available when I reached out to do an interview with you for my blog when I was writing the blog.
Oh.
And you were on the road doing something, so you were not available. But they said, you take the CD home. I got in the car and I put in your Patsy Cline CD, and then I said, wow, wow, wow. And I've been a fan of yours ever since.
Oh, thank you so much.
Carol and Stuart. Now you're doing this live on Friday night. We're going to talk about that in a few moments.
Okay, great. I just wanted to just say real quick. So Stuart Allen and Carol Demas have been in our COVID pod. So we have, so I've been very protective of that because I just love seeing them. So we would try to get together once a week throughout all of this. So
now I'm really jealous.
I know, in their beautiful home. And can I tell you that when you show up, there is a gorgeous bottle of wine that has already been decanted and the world's biggest block of cheese. And I always say, well, what can I bring? Because I'm like, okay, in the kitchen, they always say, please bring arugula. That's all they'll let me bring to their house.
Now, you performed live with an audience in their home as well.
With an audience? No, we've done one of these shows. We did it in November.
I'm talking pre-pandemic, of course.
Yes, yeah. I have not done a show. I've been to their shows. Yeah. I have not performed because that's the Carol Demas. Like, she's a star, it's her show and they welcome people into their home. And before she even opens her mouth, I feel like you've already gotten your money's worth just being in their gorgeous home. And then she is just the proverbial icing on the cake. I mean, they're just the best host ever.
Now, have you done other shows like this, or will this be a new launch for you?
Oh, you know what? No, Patsy Cline has been a really good gift to me. I've been doing always Patsy Cline opposite Sally Struthers, and recently Allison Arngrim, who you might know as Nellie from Little House.
No, you're not. Are you serious? Allison is a dear friend of mine.
Okay, well,
Allison.
She's pretty fabulous, and she's amazing. And so I was doing the Always Patsy Cline with Sally Struthers in Sally Struthers' hometown, staying in Sally Struthers' house. Like, it was just so fun. And this gentleman by the name of Christopher Escamilla approached me after the show, and he was like, would you be willing to do like a whole Patsy Cline show for like a luxury cruise line? And I was like, you had me at luxury cruise line. So we put it together, and it's like, I don't know, it just kind of opened the window to more opportunities. And then they, our show did really well on the cruise. And so they kept inviting us back. And so then I put together a Diva show, and then we started getting booked in theaters and getting booked all over and doing private events. And it's just been amazing. Like I'm sure you feel this. I like being the host of the show. It's just fun to invite everybody in and make everybody feel comfortable and present like really interesting facts. Like for you, so many amazing, famous, incredible people. So it must feel so good to present them to everybody. And so for me, it's so fun to present all of these great songs, all of these great artists, give you a little backstage story about how some of the songs came about. So it's been just an amazing thing. And so when Carol and Stuart, much like you, got very creative in the pandemic, she was just like, well, why don't you take a month? Why don't you do one of the shows? And I was like, okay. And then that went well. And so they invited us to come back this month. So we're going to be performing on Friday, our show Viva La Diva, celebrating the ladies of Broadway and pop and American songbook and R&B and country. So if there's something in there for everybody, and I'm so excited.
So I want to speaking of, I'm so excited, and divas, tomorrow night, I'm interviewing Anita Pointer from the Pointer Sisters. So I am so excited again because I am such a fan of the Pointer Sisters, and their journey. A lot of people don't know their story is amazing. But I want to ask you, the word diva sometimes has a negative connotation, and I'm all about celebrating, and I know you are too.
Yes.
What does the word diva mean to you personally?
To me, diva is somebody who, perhaps against all odds, has just created their own magic playland. It's like like Patsy Cline, you know, like Barbra Streisand, people that have just been elevated and above all expectations, like Judy Garland or oh gosh, my mind just went. Oh wait,
I can throw you
Gladys Knight, Billie Holiday. These are
Billie Holiday, whose birthday it is today.
Oh yay! Oh, that's so fun. Yeah, I am such a huge fan. And Dolly Parton, just Peggy Lee, all of these amazing artists who, against all odds, just became these big, huge, bright, shining lights and just give such joy to the world and interpret songs and become the songbook of our lives, you know. And so that to me is, I guess that's what a diva is. I mean, you know, we joke about people being divas, but in our show, we are celebrating the creme de la creme of women who are just our head and shoulders above everybody else.
Now, I consider you a diva. At what point in your life did you consider yourself a diva for the first time?
Any day now? I don't know.
So I'm going to look at this. Is why I ask. This is
that's a diva. That is a diva.
All in pink. Is this like an Easter shot? What's the story about? Do you know the story behind this?
I think I do know the story about this. So I'm probably around 4, maybe almost 5 in this picture.
Now look, everybody, look at the pants. This is, you know, so 70s. I'm thinking 70s.
Oh, definitely.
Right? Yes. So my era as well. So I love this picture. Where were you, and what are the circumstances around that?
Well, my dad was a commander in the Navy, so I got to be born in Honolulu, Hawaii. And so that was taken at our beautiful house with beautiful flowers. My mom's an avid gardener. And my mom told me that outfit cost $50, and she could not believe she was spending $50 on that outfit because, you know, we weren't the rich. I mean, I never felt poor, but we were very like middle class. And so that picture is in, you know, that outfit is in many a picture. So I thought, you know what, let's give my mom for $50 worth.
Now, what did your mom do?
My mom was, when I was younger, she was a stay-at-home mom, but she never stayed at home. Like, she on the go, always doing things. You know, she was a Navy wife, so there was a lot of entertaining and all that kind of stuff. And my mom took being a mom very seriously. She took us to all of our things. And then my dad retired, and we moved to Cincinnati, Ohio. And I started going
from Hawaii to Cincinnati, Ohio.
Well, by way of Moss Point, Mississippi. So it got like way worse because my dad got transferred in the Navy. And I was like, I remember saying to my parents, whatever I did, I'm sorry, and please forgive me. But,
no offense to anyone in Cincinnati at all.
No, Cincinnati's great. I'm talking about Moss Point, Mississippi. That was a little rough for me. I think my neighbor like hit me with a saw. Like, it was crazy up in there. So anyway.
But do you have brothers and sisters?
Yes, I have 2 older brothers. They're 8 and 10 years older than me. And so, in fact, it was just fun when you asked me to send a picture. I did a little deep dive, and I just started sending pictures to my brother, and he was like, stop it. We're all wearing matching outfits.
My sister and I are doing that all the time.
And so anyway, so then my dad retired when we lived in Moss Point, and he went to go work for General Electric. So we moved to Cincinnati, Ohio, and that's where my mom has been ever since. My father has since passed away. But I loved growing up in Cincinnati. It was a real arts community, you know, and I ended up got accepted to the School for Creative and Performing Arts. And my mom would drive me to school, which was about 25 minutes from our house. And she just needed, you know, something to fill her days. And so she ended up getting a job being an office manager, and she was really successful. And, you know, so she had a really good career too. And so, yeah, it was great.
Well, God bless her and good for her. I want to go back for a moment. You know, and it's so amazing. I have interviewed so many people who had the luxury of living in Cincinnati and the exposure to the arts there. unbelievable. Most people probably wouldn't even think of that. But your brothers, did they have any inclination to go into this business at all?
No.
Where do you think it began for you?
Well, I was the baby of the family. So for me, it began at the dinner table. You know, I was the entertainment. I would do impressions for everybody. And, you know, I would get a good response. So I thought, maybe, you know, there's something to this. And then just from an early age, I could sing. And my choir teachers would single me out for solos. And, you know, I just started kind of building on that. I would sing in church every special holiday. And so I think from there, and then going to this performing arts school in 6th grade, you know, I went to school with Alton Fitzgerald White, you know.
One of my favorites, who also, happy birthday, Alton.
Oh, so, it's today's birthday?
I don't think today is his birthday, but it's this week.
Yes, you're right. Because I saw on the Facebook, he was like, I'm celebrating with my mummy wummy. And I was like, you go. So, you know, it just kind of progressed from there. And then I, you know, studied theater in college. I went to Webster University. And it was just, I just kept going, moved to New York, I got my equity card in Branson, Missouri, of all places.
Of course. Well, I want to back up for a moment. Did you grow up in a television household, or was it mostly record albums that your family listened to?
I grew up in a TV household. We always would watch the Donnie and Marie show. Mm-hmm. My dad especially loved Barbra Streisand, and he would let me stay up late when she would have her specials. And so we were just, I think, but my parents were also theater parents. Mm-hmm. Like, they loved going to the theater. So their first date was my dad took my mom to go see a play, and then my parents were ushers at the Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park. So they would, you know, see every show that would come there. And they were just really pro theater. You know, the thing that breaks my heart is that when I ended up moving to Branson, Missouri to do Pump Boys and Dinettes, my dad had passed away before then, and I just thought this would have been my dad's dream, because he loved country music, and there were all these great country artists there. Like, there was the Barbara Mandrell Theater, there was the Tony Orlando Theater, and I just thought, oh, he would love this. They had a camper, like what do you call it? A driving, where you drive it, but it's
RV campground.
An RV, yes. Mm-hmm. And they would have just parked that and stayed a month. And, it's every once in a while.
You got your equity card with Pump Boys and Dinettes.
Yes, I got my equity card with Pump Boys and Dinettes right out of college. And it was just such an amazing time. Like, I had such a good time in Branson. And there were so many people from New York and Chicago and LA that it was like sort of like Mayberry meets Las Vegas. You know, you just
that's an apt description.
My roommate was Stephanie J. Block.
Are you kidding me?
No, we were roommates in Branson.
And the interesting thing is that you both have gone up to play divas.
Yes. She's like, I bow to the queen. I mean, when you play Cher, that's kind of, and you win a Tony, you know, that's other level. Like,
and Liza.
And Liza with a Z. I played Liza in, I don't know if you could see it, Forbidden Broadway, but that's a little different than, you know, what she did, for sure. Yeah.
So I want to know, were you auditioning right out of high school, or that you got your equity card right away? And there are some artists who feel they aspire to get the equity card. Were you that artist as well? Were you working towards getting your equity card?
You know what? I think I just wanted to work. I wanted to sing. I hadn't really decided, like, I wasn't like Broadway or die. You know, I was like, I need to perform. I don't know what that means. Mm-hmm. And so I went to Branson and I auditioned just for everything that was there. And a friend of mine called me and said, you should audition for Pump Boys and Dinettes. So I auditioned for Pump Boys and Dinettes and to be a backup singer at the Christie Lane Theater.
Oh my God.
And I got booked at the Christie Lane with Christie Lane. So and it was like, it was like 3 shows a day. It was all kinds of
Now,
crazy.
some people may not know who Christy Lane is or was.
She's saying "One Day at a Time," "Sweet Jesus." That
right. Christian singer.
Wished. Oh, I
hit
know
the
that,
pop
Brian.
charts with her songs.
Say again.
She hit the pop charts.
Oh, definitely. Oh, yeah. And she was like, she must have made a bundle selling her records because her infomercial was like on TV every 5 seconds. So, anyway, so when I get called back for Pump Boys, I get a call saying that they would like to offer me a job at the Christy Lane Theater. And he goes, but before you accept, I just want to tell you, like, the band's a little handsy and people say things, and this husband's a little like, he might try to do stuff with you. And I was like, how much does it pay?
Everybody, this is pre-Me Too.
Yeah. It was just one, always me. So when I went to my Pump Boys and Dianettes callback with the original creators that had created the show for Broadway, I felt like my audition went pretty well. And I was like, I don't know if I'm what you want, but you're what I want. And I just got another offer. So if you guys could like let me know yes or no as soon as possible, that would be great. And they were like, could you leave the room for a second? And I was like, okay. And when I came back in, they were like, we want to offer you the job, And so I told Christy Lane, not today, Jesus. Like I was like,
well, I've got an interview coming up with Murray Schwartz, who was the CEO. He brought Jeopardy to television, Wheel of Fortune, everything, and his whole book. He actually was one of the producers of It Ain't Nothing. Do you know Murray?
What? Now tell me all
Murray Schwartz?
Yeah.
Yes. He actually sent a note to me tonight, that he was one of the producers on this, but he was behind Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune. And his book is all about these opportunities, these forks in the road. And I think, was it Yogi Berra? I think it was Yogi Berra who said, if you come to a fork in the road, take it.
Oh,
so
great.
But you've got one of these opportunities. Now, let's say that they had said, obviously, very few people have that leverage. But if they had said, we're going to pass on you, but maybe come back at another time, your career, do you think it would have taken a different path?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm such a firm believer that every opportunity, everything that you do takes you here, and then you meet this person. And then, of course, when you get to be my age, I mean, so much of what I get booked now is like somebody that saw me here or knew me here or knew you. And that, I mean, it's all about like those kinds of connections, So, and I do think about that, because it was it just kind of put me on the theater path. All of a sudden I had like the season's pass to audition for, any kind of show, any kind of equity union show. I never had to do, and I don't know if it's a good thing. I never had to do summer stock but in some ways I think that would have been really good for me because you play like Aunt Eller and then you play Maria and, you play all of these different roles. And then you kind of find out later that theaters are like, okay, we only have, 2 weeks for rehearsal. So the fact that you played Evita in high school, you're the winner, you're like, okay, so.
Now, did you have a lot of opportunities in Branson beyond that? Or how long were you with Pump Boys and Dinettes?
I did Pump Boys and Dinettes for 2 years, and then the show went non-union. And so then I worked at Silver Dollar City, and they're out there.
Let me stop there for a moment. Yeah. Why did they make the decision to go non-union? It may be all the reasons that we think of. Yeah. And right now, if you're following everything that's going on with equity, there's a lot of uproar because a lot of people feel that equity is not acting fast enough on a lot of theater decisions that are being made, and theaters are now deciding to go non-union, which is detrimental to all of us. But what are your thoughts on all this right now?
Oh man, first of all, I'm not privy to all the like strong data in front of me, you know, and all the science and all that kind of stuff. And I tend to err on the side of caution, you know. Like I said, we've been pretty much holed up here. I think I've been out to eat 4 times in a year, always outdoors, always with masks, you know. I don't know. I think I err on the side of caution. I really do, because
we're in this together.
Yeah.
So,
but I'm also older, you know, like if I were 21 or 19, you know, I might just think like, I gotta, you know, I've done a lot of things that I want to do, but somebody else is, you know, has a different agenda. We're all in different places in our life, you know, so I respect everybody's desire, and I know everybody wants to get out there, but at the same time, I don't want to be the person that like kills Aunt Eller in Oklahoma, or, you know.
So after the show closes, and you've got a decision to make, you could stay in Branson, or you could go to New York, or even Los Angeles. Speaking of forks in the road,
right?
You made the decision to go to New York. Did you go to New York right after Branson, or were there other things along the way?
Other things along the way. So, right after Branson, a friend of mine was like, come to LA, just come visit, you know, a friend of mine from college. And I was like, okay. And so while I was there, I auditioned. No, that's not true. I auditioned for something in Branson. I auditioned to be like a singer dancer on a cruise line. And so in Branson, and I ended up getting it. So then I moved to LA, and then that fell through. And so then I started just auditioning for everything, you know, and one of the things that I auditioned for was to play the part of Wanda in the Blues Brothers show at Universal Studios. Now, it didn't say they wanted a black Wanda. They just said they wanted someone that could sing like Aretha Franklin, and I thought I was that person.
Of course you were.
So I went and I auditioned, and I got the part. And it caused a little bit of an uproar, as you can imagine. But it got my name out there. And one of the Wandas, see, I like, you're making me remember all this stuff. One of the Wandas was married to Ron Taylor, the original man-eating plant in Little Shop of Horrors, who was putting together, and he was also the Lion and the Wiz, and he was putting together this show called It Ain't Nothing But the Blues, and heard about this white girl that was singing like Aretha Franklin. So I auditioned for It Ain't Nothing But the Blues in his living room. I got that show. It went on like a little tour. It went to the Denver Center, and then it kept going to different theaters, and it just kept going. And then we went to the New Victory Theater in New York, and it got a rave review from the New York Times. And 2 weeks later, we were at Lincoln Center in New York City. So it's just
meant to be.
I've been on that cruise ship. I mean, who knows if I would have made it to Broadway? You know, I might have married.
You mentioned earlier that your dreams and your desires were just to be a working entertainer.
Yeah.
But in the back of your mind, Broadway had to have been there. That's where I want to end up.
Oh yes, because and really, what Broadway has done for me is it's allowed me to do so many things that I wouldn't be able to do if I didn't have that title. You know, it's like having that title has opened so many doors for other things that have been just as fulfilling, if not more fulfilling. Like doing my own show has just been the highlight, and traveling and going to all of these amazing places. And then because of the work that I was doing with this cruise line, I was able to hire Carol Dimas for one of the shows, and we got to, you know, become even better friends. And that relationship has been just so fulfilling and just so
Well, how did you and Carol meet?
So Carol, my husband and I, we do a lot of concert work with Neil Berg. I don't know.
Yeah. Neil is one of my neighbors.
Oh, so you live in Nyack?
Yeah, I live just below Nyack in Piermont.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm just.
I love Piermont.
Now you're in Westchester, am I correct?
Yes, correct.
I'm just across the river. Neil Berg, Rita Harvey. I actually did one of their shows when they did the Seaport.
Yeah.
Many, many years ago.
That's how I got introduced to them. Yeah, it's crazy. It's so fun. I know it's so wacky. And so anyway, so he was lovely enough to hire me, and from doing concerts with him is how I met my husband. Like it's crazy. And so Carol did one of the concerts that actually I think I met her first at Terrytown, a show with Rob Evan, who's also another really good friend of ours.
I think I was at that show.
Oh, wow.
So.
Oh, wow. So that's how I first met her. And then every once in a while, when she wasn't busy, she would do like a concert, another concert. And then she did a show in Barbados that I was a part of. And then we just really just
Were you there when the big storm hit? I
think we were there like after. I was definitely not there when the big storm hit. I would have remembered like that.
There's a great story that asked her to tell you.
Yes, I think she did it maybe the year before me or something.
Her and Ian went for a walk, Ian Herman, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, this storm hits. So, very funny story.
Any story that begins with her and Ian Herman, I love.
Yes.
So we've just become really good friends. And on my last show that I did there, the last virtual show, we sang "Amazing Grace," which is a song that we had sung just in a temple. And I think we were in Bora Bora, some beautiful, and we just were like, hey, we kind of sound good together. So she and I are going to do "For Good" from Wicked on Friday.
Oh, wonderful.
So
I'm going to be watching. I'm definitely going to be watching.
Thank you. Well, please pray for me, because when I see her sweet little face, like just thinking about her and her amazing voice, I get teary. Like she just sends me, like her voice, her being, her face, it goes straight to my heart. She's just.
Well, mine too. I've been lucky enough to be on stage with her a few times as well. So how long were you with It Ain't Nothing But the Blues? How long were you with the show?
Well, let's see. Because I did the one at Denver Center. Mm-hmm. And then, then that contract ended. And then we got invited to do it again at the Alabama Shakespeare Festival. We did it in New Jersey and New Brunswick at, I can't think of the theater there, but it's
in JPAC?
Not in JPAC.
No, okay.
I'm sorry. I'm terrible at this. So, but anyway, and then the next stop was the New Victory Theater in New York. And then it was on Broadway for, I think, maybe a year, but I left it a little early to go do Smokey Joe's Cafe. Mm-hmm. So that was really fun. Yeah. So and then I think after that, then they had another like national tour that I was a part of. And then I think they did it in, off Broadway, and I was a part of that. So, I love that show. It's just, it's one of those shows that every single night, because the way the show is set up, you never leave the stage. Mm-hmm. You're on the stage the entire time. So I would hear these amazing performers, and every night I would get chills, and every night I would think, oh, wait, one, like my favorite song's coming up. Oh, no, wait, no, this is my favorite song, And so whenever any of my friends, in fact, my friend Jocelyn Sluka, who's watching right now, she was there for opening night, I would just be thinking to myself, ooh, Jossie, wait till you hear this next song. Oh, no, wait till you hear this next. Like every song just seemed better than the one before. It was just such an amazing show. And it's so timely. They need to bring it back.
No, I know. Bring it all back.
Bring it all back. Yeah.
You have had the luxury of performing in all kinds of different situations, Broadway shows, reviews, Forbidden Broadway you mentioned earlier. What was that experience like for you? Because I, as an audience member, and knowing what is going on backstage, I'm exhausted for you.
Yeah, should be.
What was that like? And when you go into Forbidden Broadway, you have a specific track that they want you to do.
Right. Mm-hmm. So Well, I've done Forbidden Broadway, Forbidden Hollywood, and Forbidden Vegas. So I've done all of their franchises. And I think it was like, gosh, I'm trying to think. There's no dates. I think I did it like 4 or 5 years ago. I did the last Forbidden Broadway that they had in New York. I was in the last, and then I left it to go do Always Patsy Cline with Sally Struthers, and then that whole thing happened. And I just was like one of the older people in the show, and how when it starts out, it was like we were in rehearsals for 8 weeks. I mean, it was insane. And then it like didn't really open until like a month or two after we started just even doing the show. It was crazy. But I would just be like, I really just felt like no sudden movements from the audience. Like it will go out of my head if anybody just like opens a program. I was like terrified. And one time I left my script and I came home and I was like, Rod, you have to drive me back. I have to get the script. Like I was shaking. I was like so nervous. I was like, I'm going to get fired. Like I was just, and then it was so weird, Richard, like the crazier it got, the more things got thrown at me, the more I was just like, oh, I'd be sitting at my little station backstage and I'd go, don't forget, you're supposed to get the thing. And then you hand it to her and then she gives it to me. And then remember the new line change is that like all of a sudden I just had like this weird superpower that I had no idea that I had. Like, it was just like, we got so crazy that I was like suddenly in my zone. Like,
was there ever a moment with you with any of the celebrities or divas that you were parodying that they were in the audience?
Yes. I'm going to say her name wrong. Oh gosh. Andrea. She was in We've Got Mad and Pippin. You know who I'm talking about.
Andrea Martin.
Yeah, and I sort of spoofed her, and I kind of really felt like I nailed her, and I felt like she was a little bit frosty with me. I think she wasn't that warm to me,
And this is a woman who has parodied everybody from second to television.
I know, it was so weird, but maybe she just didn't think I was good. I don't know, but we've met. Joan Rivers came to the show. Oh my goodness, that was like to me making it. I mean, she was just one of my idols growing up. I lived for when she was on the Tonight Show.
You said something earlier that really resonates. And I've asked this of many people that I've had the opportunity to interview, how ambitious some people are. And some people have been very, very fortunate, such as yourself, with the connections that you've made, the relationships that you've made along the way. What was the COVID excluded, of course? What was the longest lull for you in this business? And how did you get through that psychologically?
The longest lull would probably be the pandemic, because I've always had dates on the calendar. I don't know. I don't feel like I've had a lull. I got to find something to knock on.
I'm going to knock with you.
Yeah, because now what's kind of interesting is when I got pregnant with my daughter, I got pregnant with her because I did a commercial for Ditropan, which is an incontinence medication, and they ran it constantly. And all of a sudden I had equity, and I was doing Forbidden Vegas out in Las Vegas. And I was like, oh my goodness, I have SAG insurance. I have equity insurance. We have all this money from the commercial that we've been able to save. I was like, I should have a baby. Like, this would be the time, And so I just was like, okay, I'm just going to have to live off my savings, and that's fine. But I ended up doing this show called The Water Coolers, which was sort of like Forbidden Broadway, but for office people. And because I was pregnant, it didn't matter. So I was doing it so much that I had to have like a doctor's note that said like I could get on the plane, and so, and then Neil Bird, bless his heart, like his wife was pregnant. I was pregnant. We were singing all that jazz together.
Now I know how old your daughter is.
Yes. She's 15. Yes. She's 15 years old. And,
so you worked really up until you basically gave birth.
Yeah.
How soon did you go back to work after she was born?
Well, I do a lot of voiceover work. So I was like going to voiceover auditions, going to that kind of thing. And my mom, oh my gosh, my mom moved to New York. She lived so close to us, and she was a godsend. Like, she was such a good grandmother to my daughter, and she would, go to auditions with me. And, so I'm very fortunate in that way, because I didn't, have to, I still was able to travel. And, my daughter's dad is in the business. So he was like very understanding, and we all just did our part. And so it all just kind of weirdly worked out. I've just been very fortunate, and I think, in my life, for sure.
Now, you grew up with your father being in the military, and your family did move 3 times as a kid.
Mhm.
Do you think that really set the tone for you, being able to deal with traveling and being on the road?
Yes. My mom is very adventuresome. She is in her 80s, and she will go anywhere, do anything. She came on one of our crystal cruises that we did, and she was like everyone's favorite person. And so I think and she loved, like, being a military wife. She moved constantly. So she just kind of instilled in us, like, oh, you're just going to meet all new friends. Oh, you're going on a new adventure. Oh, you're going to have a new bedroom. You're going to have all. And so I never grew up feeling like, oh my gosh, like, we're going to leave this house. I'd be like, ooh, we're going to be in the new house. And it just kind of had that mindset. So even though I live in New York now, I don't feel like I'm going to die in this house. I feel like there's going to be a new adventure,
Mhm.
past this, or whatever life. I don't know. I just always am, like, excited for whatever the new thing is going to be, and
Now, growing up, were you able to maintain friendships in any of the towns?
absolutely. I'm still best friends with the same group of girls I was friends with since 4th grade.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, like, we talk all the time. And my friend Jossie, who I told you about, she's been my friend since I was in 10th grade. And so I was lucky enough to meet amazing women when I was in 4th grade. And they're still, like, my heart to this very day.
I want to ask you, who are some of the people in your career, on the career path, that have made the biggest impact on your career? I mean, obviously, Carol and Stuart, and Neil and Rita, but who are some of the other people, either teachers, mentors, people that you worked with, that really solidified and helped shape who you are in this business?
I think being lucky to be directed by Randall Myler in It Ain't Nothing But the Blues was really amazing. Like, he's been so good to me. Like, he would hire me to do Always Patsy Cline at Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, which then allowed me to do it with Sally Struthers, So and one thing about Randy that I just love as a director is he really, like, allowed you to play. He would be like, well, what do you think you should do there? Well, what should you say there? Well, what do you want to slow this down? And I go, well, I kind of feel like I want Fever to be, like, really slow. And he'd go, well, let's do that. I'm like, well, I feel like Walking After Midnight should maybe be kind of stalkery, like, and he'd go, let's try that. So he really empowered me at a very young age, in my 20s, to trust my instincts. So I feel like he is just a really powerful, important presence in my growing up in this business. And I also feel like just watching Eloise Laws sing I'll Put a Spell on You
Mhm.
8 times a week, and It Ain't Nothing But the Blues, I just felt like I got a master class in storytelling. She was just an amazing storyteller. And I watched her recreate that moment night after night. Just, it never felt stale. It was always fresh. And so I just feel like that just kind of made me realize, oh, it can be new every time. It doesn't have to just be the same old shtick, So I definitely feel like those are two just really, really incredible. And Gregory Porter, who I did It Ain't Nothing But the Blues
Mhm.
with,
Mhm.
who has since gone on to be just this huge Grammy Award winning jazz soul singer. Just, he and I were the younger people in the show. And I had already done the show before he came aboard, but just watching him take his part and completely make it his own, he even brought like different songs to it. Just seeing the power of somebody with really good ideas and what they're able to accomplish, I feel like just really kind of went like, oh, you don't have to do it like this person before you did it. You can bring your own,
make it your own.
And that to me has just been just a powerful life lesson, or the kinds of things that spark joy in me as being able to put my own spin on something. So watching other people do it really successfully, just the play involved in putting together Forbidden Broadway, where everybody's ideas all of a sudden become part of this unit and become part of the show and become part of what makes it great.
Collaboration.
I just love that.
Oh, you and me both.
I love the spirit. Richard, I have a question for you.
Okay.
So first of all, I want to know, like, who is like one of your most incredible interviews besides this one, obviously. And who is somebody that you have to interview? You have.
Oh, that's very easy. And they both were married to the same man. Leslie Ann Warren was my favorite interview. With all due respect to everybody that I've interviewed.
Oh, yeah.
Being on stage with her, because I grew up watching Cinderella. And when that opportunity came my way, just being able to look into I interviewed John Davidson a few weeks ago.
I love him. I worked at his theater in Branson.
Have you seen the interview?
No, but I'm going to.
Go and watch the interview that I did with John Davidson, because he made his movie debut with Leslie Ann Warren.
Okay.
And he said, looking into those brown pools of those eyes, just absolutely. And the person that I would really love to interview, and this may not come as a big surprise to everyone, is Barbra Streisand.
Oh, yes. Oh, my goodness. Yes.
I mean, I want to, there's so many misconceptions about her that I would.
What do you think they are? What do you think are the misconceptions of Barbra?
Well, I asked you for your first question about being a diva, being difficult. I feel that when somebody comes along, and they know what they want in this business, and they go after it. There's a lot of people out there who jump on board and they go along with that ride. And then there are people who, for whatever reasons, feel jealous, or they are envious of that person's success or what it is that they bring to the table. And I just feel that there's so much that I would love to know about her process. What does she do when she gets a script? How does she dissect the character? Those are the things that I would love to know and talk about.
Oh, and I bet you, and those are the kind of questions that probably not everybody asks her. So she would probably really, really enjoy that.
Well, if you're listening, Barbara,
and I'm sure she is, because she's all over me on the social media. So yeah. Well, I talk about her in my show, and we sing one of her big famous songs from Funny Girl. So
when you're singing these songs, and I saw "Don't Rain on My Parade," of course, is in the show, I'm almost positive that it has to evoke memories of your father and you getting up and watching these shows. And for me, there's certain songs. Moon River starts and I'm in tears. I'm a puddle, because it was my grandmother's favorite song. It won the Academy Award the year I was born. Now everyone knows my age, but it was sung at my wedding. That's a song that means a lot. If there was one song that would define Carter Calvert, what would that song be?
I don't know that if there's a song that defines me, but there's a song that, like, as you were speaking, I just sort of saw like this song in my own head, because I was thinking like, well, what would that be for me? And it's "You Belong to Me." Patsy Cline sings it. And I found out after my father's passing, who I was incredibly close to, that his favorite Patsy Cline song was "You Belong to Me." And that when, his sister, my Aunt Margaret from Fuquay Varina, North Carolina, said that he would, when he broke up with his girlfriend, he would play "You Belong to Me" over and over and over. And so and it just was a song that just always had a really special place. So whenever I sing it, I just feel like I just want to cry a little bit, And so when I found out it was his favorite song, I was just like, oh, and it just made it even more special to me. So I don't know that it defines me, but a song that I feel like is empowering to me. I feel like it's a song that over the years I've come to like kind of own is "Don't Rain on My Parade."
Wow.
That's a song that I love singing.
And you're performing that on Friday night?
Yes. And it's just a song that over the years, it's like a really good suit. I put it on and I just feel like I feel good in this, and yes.
Wonderful. Now we are going to run out of time, and I want to be respectful of your time and everyone else's time for everyone being here tonight. But I do want to ask you before we begin to wrap everything up, since getting your equity card, obviously the business ebbs and flows. It's changed a lot. What are the things that you love that have changed in the industry since you first got into it? What are the things that you don't like so much? And what do you miss the most that was there when you first began?
What I love the most about what's happening in the industry is just non-traditional casting. I'm loving it. I love seeing all different looking types. I love just being talented and good is enough to get the part, so I'm loving seeing that, because when I was in 6th grade, our school colors were black and white. So my Uncle Henry was white. My Aunt Em was black, and I did the Wiz. So that's just something that's like, I feel like I was already there. Now I feel like, oh, everybody else is kind of
catch up. It's great.
I love how empowered women are to just not put up with like the, all that BS that happens, like you're just supposed to take it. I like that we're finally kind of, standing up to that. What is it that I don't like? I guess how hard it is. It's just a tough business, and I'm like ready for it to be easier, and it's just never going to be easier. And I'll talk to my friends that are like Tony Award winners, and they all say the same thing. It's just hard. You're constantly having to prove yourself, and so I think that's the toughest part.
Well, take a deep breath. You no longer have to prove yourself. You've already done it. No, it's true. You have.
Oh, and I wanted to add one more thing.
Yes.
One more thing I love about what's happening is that everybody's body types are being embraced. I love that. I love seeing a big old curvy girl on screen, and a part where it used to just be like somebody had to be anorexic to play that part. It makes me it actually just like elevates the show, and it sparks joy. I love it. It's just, it makes me beyond happy. So
I absolutely, it's funny, in my research for Anita tomorrow night, Anita Pointer, she did an episode of Give Me a Break with Nell Carter, who I loved, speaking of divas. But I went and I watched that episode, and it was jam-packed with fat jokes, fat shaming. The Pointer sisters even come back to visit Nell, and they're all wearing fat suits. And I can only imagine the pain that those writers put her through.
Yeah.
That show.
Gross. It's not cool.
It's not funny. It's not funny.
It's not funny. And also just like all of a sudden I'm thinking of like more things. I just like that, the inclusivity of different people who love different people, and I just like seeing that being celebrated on Broadway. Just love is love is love. Like it just
amen.
So happy. It's just love who you love.
That's right. Well, first of all, I want to thank you. I love you.
I love you. We're besties now.
I am so thrilled that you said yes to doing this tonight. And thank you, Rosa Puzo, for reaching out and saying, would you be interested in interviewing Carter Calvert? And I said, yes, of course I would. That was a no-brainer. I want to let everyone know that tomorrow night at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be sitting down with Anita Pointer of the Pointer Sisters to discuss their amazing career. Again, thank you all for being here tonight. Please subscribe if you can. And you can click the reminder, and you just get a daily reminder when I'm going to go live. And you can choose to watch it live, or this is going to be saved on YouTube. Leave a comment on YouTube. Hit the like button. If you're listening to the podcast, do it there as well. That helps to elevate this. And the more likes we get, the more comments we get, the more that people will actually see this video. So that's very, very important. I also end every show by telling everyone to go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. So on my Facebook page later, I'm going to have all the details for how you can watch this live stream on Friday night. I want you to buy 2 tickets. Buy one for yourself and buy one for, let's say, the 7th name that pops up on Facebook. Just reach out, even if it's somebody that you don't correspond with. Just say, this is something fun I think you might enjoy. And that helps Stuart, Carol, Carter, everyone involved in terms of getting a bigger audience. And I'm all about celebrating artists and their body of worth. Now go out and do something nice for somebody else without expecting anything in return. As my dear friend David Friedman says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. And you never know what someone else is going through right now. So have empathy. Take the time to know who they are. Now, I'm going to give you the final word. Anything that you want to say about anything that we talked about tonight that you want to expound upon, anything that we didn't talk about that you wish we had, or just any message that you want to put out to everyone who's watching right now. And again, thank you for the gifts that you've given to the world and that you're going to continue to give to the world. Thank you.
I just want to thank you so much for having me on your amazing show. I just appreciate what you're doing to elevate artists and to let more people know about them. And thank you for taking time to ask really thoughtful, interesting questions. I really appreciate that. You have a natural curiosity, which I think sets you apart from most interviewers. And I just want to remind people, if you want to get a ticket to our show Friday night, it's at 7:30. You can go to my website, cartercalvert.com, and there'll be ticket information there, or you can go to Richard Skipper's Facebook page or my Facebook page. And we would so love to see you. Tickets.
Just let us know that you want to get tickets and we'll go from there.
We'll figure it out. And because we're really excited about the show, and it's all just amazing artists. And so I appreciate you.
For one more thing, I just want to say that when this is listed on YouTube, the information for getting tickets will be in the description of the show.
Oh,
so please tune in.
Perfection. Thank you so much. You're a dreamy dish. I appreciate you.
It's so much, you too. Good night, everyone. See you tomorrow.